Some records in football are broken every few years. A new striker appears, a new team dominates, a new superstar takes over the competition. But in the Champions League, there are some records that feel different. These are not just good numbers. These are numbers built over years, sometimes decades, by players, managers, and clubs that stayed at the very top of Europe for an almost impossible amount of time. Today, we are looking at 10 Champions League records that may never be broken. And for this list, we are focusing mainly on the Champions League era, but when we talk about club titles, we are including the full European Cup history as well. Let's start with number 10. Number 10. PSG's 5-0 win in a Champions League final. A final is supposed to be tight. Two elite teams, one trophy, maximum pressure, but in 2025, Paris Saint-Germain destroyed Inter 5-0 in the Champions League final. That was not just a win. That was the biggest winning margin in Champions League final history. And that is why this record is so hard to break. To beat it, a team would need to win a Champions League final by 6 goals. Not in a group stage match. Not against a weak team. In the final, at that level, even scoring 3 or 4 is already rare. Scoring 6 more than your opponent in the biggest club game in the world sounds almost impossible. That is why PSG's 5-0 final win may stay in the record books for a very long time. Number 9. Ansu Fati becoming the youngest goalscorer. Scoring in the Champions League is already difficult. Doing it as a teenager is special. But Ansu Fati did something even more extreme. He became the youngest goalscorer in Champions League history at just 17 years and 40 days old. Think about that. At that age, most players are still trying to break into the first team. They are not deciding Champions League matches. To break this record, a player would need to score before turning 17 years and 40 days old. That means he would need to be trusted by a major club extremely early, play in a Champions League match, handle the pressure, and actually score. Could it happen? Yes, but modern clubs are careful with young players. They protect them physically, mentally, and commercially. So this record is possible to break, but the window is tiny. Number 8. Paolo Maldini scoring in a final at 36 years old. Paolo Maldini's career was built on longevity. But in the 2005 Champions League final, he added another record to his name. He scored in the final at 36 years and 333 days old. That made him the oldest goalscorer in a Champions League final. The reason this record is so difficult is simple. First, you need to still be playing at elite European level at almost 37. Second, your team needs to reach the Champions League final. Third, you need to score in that final. For defenders, that is even harder. Many players are already retired by that age. Others move to less intense leagues. Some are still good, but their teams are no longer Champions League contenders. Maldini was different. He stayed at the top for a generation. That is why this record still feels safe. Number 7. Cristiano Ronaldo scoring in 11 straight Champions League matches. Scoring once in the Champions League is difficult. Scoring in 2 or 3 straight games is impressive. But Cristiano Ronaldo scored in 11 consecutive Champions League matches. That is a ridiculous level of consistency. This record is not just about talent. It requires perfect timing. You need to avoid injury. You need to start every game. Your team needs to keep playing in the competition. And you need to score every single time, even when opponents are specifically planning to stop you. One quiet night and the streak is over. That is what makes this record so brutal. Number 6. Lionel Messi scoring 120 Champions League goals for one club. Lionel Messi scored 120 Champions League goals for Barcelona. That is the record for most Champions League goals by one player for a single club. This is one of the hardest modern records to break because football has changed. Elite players move more often now. Contracts are different. Clubs rebuild faster. Superstars switch leagues, chase new projects, or leave when the team stops competing at the highest level. To beat Messi's record, a player would need to spend most of his career at one club, play Champions League football every year, stay healthy, and score at an elite rate for more than a decade. Cristiano Ronaldo came closest with Real Madrid, but even he finished with 105 Champions League goals for one club. That tells you how insane Messi's Barcelona number really is. Number 5. Cristiano Ronaldo scoring 67 knockout stage goals. Group stage goals matter, but knockout stage goals hit different. This is where the pressure is highest. This is where every mistake can end a season. This is where teams face the strongest opponents, and the margins become tiny. Cristiano Ronaldo scored 67 goals in the Champions League knockout stages. That number is absurd. It is not just about scoring a lot. It is about scoring when the competition gets harder. Round of 16, quarterfinals, semi-finals, finals. That is where Ronaldo built his reputation as one of the most dangerous players in the history of the competition. To break this record, a player would need not only long-term goal numbers, but deep Champions League runs again and again. You cannot build this record if your team goes out early. That is why this one may be even harder than it looks. Number 4. Cristiano Ronaldo scoring 17 goals in one season. In the 2013-14 Champions League season, Cristiano Ronaldo scored 17 goals. That remains the record for most goals in a single Champions League season. A lot of people may think the new format makes this easier because teams can play more matches. But more matches do not automatically mean more goals. A player still needs to score constantly against elite opponents. He needs to stay fit. His team needs to create enough chances. And he needs to continue scoring into the knockout rounds. 17 goals in one Champions League season is not just a hot streak. It is a full campaign of elite finishing. Even great seasons from other world-class players have fallen short. To beat it, someone probably needs a perfect mix, a dominant team, a striker in peak form, penalty responsibility, and a deep run to the final. Possible, yes. Likely, not very. Number 3. Cristiano Ronaldo making 183 Champions League appearances. This record is about something more than goals. It is about survival at the top. Cristiano Ronaldo played 183 Champions League matches. That means almost 2 decades of elite-level football. To break this record, a player has to start young, stay healthy, play for clubs that qualify every year, avoid long injuries, avoid major career drops, and keep being selected in the biggest competition in Europe. That is a rare combination. A player can be talented and still never get close. Maybe his club misses the Champions League. Maybe he gets injured. Maybe he moves to a league or club outside the competition. Maybe he loses his place. Ronaldo did not just play in the Champions League. He stayed relevant in it year after year after year. That is why 183 appearances is one of the most difficult records on this list. Number 2. Cristiano Ronaldo scoring 140 Champions League goals. Cristiano Ronaldo is the all-time top scorer in Champions League history with 140 goals. This is the record everyone knows. And it is still one of the hardest records in football to break. Lionel Messi finished close, but still behind. Robert Lewandowski passed 100, but even that was not enough to seriously threaten the top. For a current or future player to reach 140, he needs more than talent. He needs a long career, a Champions League level team every season, elite finishing, fitness, consistency, and deep runs. Haaland and Mbappe are the obvious names people mention, but reaching 140 is not just about having a few great seasons. You need many great seasons, and you need them in the hardest club competition in the world. That is why Ronaldo's total goal record is still one of the biggest mountains in Champions League history. Number 1. Real Madrid winning 15 European Cups and Champions League titles. Some players dominate eras. Real Madrid dominated the competition itself. With 15 European Cup and Champions League titles, Real Madrid are far ahead of everyone else. AC Milan are second with 7. Liverpool and Bayern Munich have 6. That gap is enormous. To catch Real Madrid, another club would need not just one golden generation, but several. They would need decades of success, repeated rebuilds, elite managers, superstar players, and the ability to win finals again and again. And while other clubs are trying to catch them, Real Madrid can still add more. That is what makes this record feel almost untouchable. It is not just a number. It is a reflection of how one club has turned Europe's biggest competition into part of its identity. When people think of the Champions League, they think of Real Madrid. And that is why their 15 titles are the hardest Champions League record to break. These records show why the Champions League is different. It is not only about being great for one season. It is about staying great under pressure, against the best teams in Europe, year after year. Some of these records might fall one day, but others may still be standing decades from now. Because in the Champions League, greatness is not enough. You need timing, longevity, pressure, trophies, and sometimes, a little bit of history on your side. Thanks for watching.